Suprit Gupta, a licensed associate marriage and family therapist, and I'm genuinely thrilled to launch this space with you today. For those celebrating around the world, a very happy Diwali. The Festival of Lights reminds us that light always finds a way through the darkness, and that journey, moving from shadow into light, is the heartbeat of this podcast. Here we talk about the moments that test us, the ones that break us open, and the ones that build us back. From navigating toxic relationships and emotional exhaustion to redefining love, self worth, and healing on our own terms. And yes, we'll laugh a little too, because life gives you drama, but it also gives you punchlines. This is a space where quiet strength meets bold stories, and where real courage isn't about being fearless, but about showing up anyway. Throughout this season, you'll hear from therapists, writers, maybe even artists, painters, musicians, parents, and everyday people, each sharing their version of quiet strength, bold stories, and real courage. Welcome to Conversations with Courage. So, today, I want to talk about what courage really looks like. Not the kind we post about, but the kind we live through quietly. I want to talk about where it comes from, what it may look like, and how sometimes it shows up through the people around us, and sometimes from deep within ourselves. Courage doesn't always look big or dramatic. Most of the time, it looks ordinary. It looks like honesty, boundaries, or taking one small step towards yourself. And today, I want to share my personal story on how I found courage in moments that came from others and moments that came from within at different times in my life, often when I least expected it, but mostly when I most needed it. The whisper of courage. When we think about courage, we tend to imagine grand gestures, quitting a job, walking out, starting over. But real courage usually starts quietly. It's the moment you admit, okay, something's off here. It's the decision to stop pretending you're fine. And sometimes it's just showing up to therapy, even though you'd rather binge watch Netflix and diagnose yourself through TikTok. Courage doesn't erase fear, it walks with it. And no one may notice it, but you will. And that's enough to begin. When my daughters taught me courage. The first time I really understood courage came from my daughter. She's 18 now, but she was 10 then, which meant she already knew everything about the world, and I was apparently doing everything wrong. One day, we were having a conversation about respecting elders. And of course, me being an Indian mom, said, "You should respect them because they're your elders." And her retort was, "Mom, I don't have to respect someone if they don't respect me." And I froze. That moment was a plot twist in my cultural script. I grew up believing respect was unconditional, that it was tied to age, not behavior. But her words made me realize something. They made me realize that cultural values are beautiful until they start costing you your self worth. She gave me permission to rewrite what respect means. mutual, not mandatory, and gave me the courage to start giving respect to myself first. And that was the beginning of unlearning and choosing me. Years later, one day I was frustrated, trying to change someone's behavior. You know, that I'll fix them if I love them enough nonsense. My younger daughter hit me with a truth bomb. In that moment, she looked at me and said, Mama, you can't change anyone. Look at me. I'm your daughter, and I'm 12, and you can't even change me. I just stood there thinking, wow, okay, the student has become the therapist. But she was right. That day, I stopped carrying responsibility for everyone's choices. My 12-year-old freed me from so much self blame and taught me that courage isn't about fixing someone or managing their behavior. It's recognizing that their growth, or their lack of it, is their choice. And the moment you stop trying to change them, you change yourself. And you practice the kind of courage that lets go, the kind that frees you from self blame and makes space for your growth. When my mother showed me courage. After my dad passed away 3 years ago, my mom and I were grieving together. She was 73, and by Indian standards, that meant she was supposed to shrink, become quiet, solemn, maybe take up spiritual WhatsApp forwarding as a hobby. But my mom did something wild. She went for walks. She joined a gym. I'm not kidding, a gym at 73. I asked her why, and she said, I'm doing everything I can to not get depressed. Depression is not an option. That line, depression is not an option, hit me like a prayer wrapped in grit. She wasn't denying her pain. She decided to move with it. Watching her reminded me that healing isn't about pretending you're fine. It's about showing up for yourself every single day. She taught me that courage can look like lifting weights at 73, like starting again. When the world expects you to stop, like saying, I still have life left to live. That was her light, and she passed it to me. The courage to choose myself. And then there was my own turning point. The moment I chose courage for myself. I was 43, a mom of two, a wife, a daughter in law, juggling everyone's needs but my own. I was grateful, but something in me felt lost. Maybe it was an identity crisis. Maybe it was a midlife crisis. Or maybe it was just honesty. I remember standing in my kitchen one day, coffee gone cold, the noise of everyone else's life buzzing around me. And I asked myself, what about me? What was my dream? What did I want? And for the first time in years, I had an answer. I wanted to do this. I wanted to help people. I wanted to understand relationships, healing, and empower myself and others on a deeper level. So I made a bold choice. I went back to school to finally get the degree I had always wanted, but kept postponing because life kept on happening. I did it at 43 with teenagers, in laws, and a calendar that looked like a war zone. People said, "You're so brave." And I thought, no, I'm just tired of putting myself last. That was the moment I stopped waiting for permission. The moment I realized courage doesn't always mean walking away or giving in. Sometimes it means walking back to yourself. And honestly, sitting here now, recording this podcast, feels like another one of those moments. Because even this, finding the courage to share my story, to speak out loud, what I've spent years helping others find words for, took guts. I hesitated. I doubted. I pondered about it for months. I almost talked myself out of it. What if no one listens? What if people judge? What if I'm not ready? But then I remembered courage isn't about the outcome, it's about showing up anyway. This podcast is me choosing courage again in real time. Not because I'm fearless, but because I'm done letting fear decide who gets to hear my voice. And if you're listening to this, maybe that's what you're doing too. Maybe you're looking for courage and finding your own version of courage, one step, one truth, one moment at a time. Now, I would like to invite you to pause with me for a moment. Take a breath that belongs only to you, not to your deadlines, not to your to-do list. Think about the people who have shown you courage. Maybe a child who spoke truth, a parent who showed resilience, or maybe your own voice that refused to stay quiet. Ask yourself, what would one small, brave step look like for me right now? And then ask, what if? What if I gave myself just 20 seconds of courage? Because sometimes that's all it takes to change everything. So as diyas light up homes across the world tonight, remember, courage doesn't always roar. It's more like a flickering candle in a drafty room. Sometimes it cracks a joke through tears or challenges culture at a young age or laces up sneakers at 73 or fills out a college application at 43 or start a podcast at 46. You don't need to see the whole path. Just trust the next honest step in front of you. Trust yourself. Choose yourself. One moment at a time, just for 20 seconds. Thank you for beginning this journey with me. New episodes of Conversations with Courage drop every Monday, so we can start each week with reflection, intent, and a little more courage than the week before. Next week, we'll talk about the courage to choose yourself, what it means to put your well-being at the center without guilt or apology. Until then, may you find quiet strength in your reflection and boldness in your truth. Conversations with Courage, quiet strength, Bold stories, real courage.